with an addition in 1922. This building housed the heavy press room. On the northernmost border of Studebaker, Maine, is the second largest building in the complex. This is building number 84, found at Lafayette Streets and the New York Central Railroad tracks. Built in 1923 of brick and reinforced concrete, it is a 6-story building with a basement. This building housed the body fabrication, painting, and trimming departments. Built to assemble Special 6 and Big 6 closed bodies at the rate of 75 per day, it was redesigned in 1928 to produce 60 units per hour. Final production rates were up to 80 units per hour. Metal stampings entered the first floor where they were fabricated into bodies. These bodies were then shipped to the third floor for metal finishing. They were then taken to the second floor for bonderizing, painting, and sanding. Then the prime bodies were taken to the fourth floor for painting, then to the fifth floor for the installation of glass, hardware, and metal trim. The sixth floor is where the interior was manufactured and installed. The bodies rode a single line against the north wall where trim was installed. The balance of the sixth floor was cut and sew. As the trim was finished, it was installed into the bodies. Until 1953, the finished bodies were then loaded onto flatbed trailers, 3 per trailer, and trucked to Building 79 at the south end of the plant for final assembly. In 1953, the mile-long overhead conveyor system was completed at a cost of $400,000. The bodies were loaded onto the conveyor on the 6th floor and rode the conveyor line through buildings 58 and 53 over the engineering building directly to final assembly. Imagine the savings in equipment costs and labor that this conveyor system allowed. At the southwest corner of Plant 2 on Prairie Avenue at Cotter Street is the largest single building in the Studebaker complex. This brick, steel-framed, and reinforced concrete building, number 85, housed the foundry. Built in 1923, it had 2 floors and a basement and contained 568,000 square feet of floor space. When completed, it was capable of pouring 400 tons of iron a day, and its state-of-the-art methods and machinery were the envy of the industry. The entire foundry was laid out for high efficiency, the raw material being fed into receiving bays at one end, processed progressively, and finally discharged in the form of finished castings at the opposite end of the building. The foundry also contained a core room where Studebaker made all of its own sand cores from processed sand. Looking through the rail yard gate on Kendall Street into the center of Plant 2, we see a 3-building complex. The building visible here is building number 86, built in 1926. This 137,000 square foot building, a 1-story brick and steel frame structure, housed the truck chassis assembly department and the spring shop. Directly behind this building, attached to it, is building 142, the steel receiving dock. At the southeast corner of this group is building number 93. Built in 1928, this brick and steel-framed 1-story building containing 37,000 square feet housed the screw machine department. At one time, Studebaker made all of its own nuts and bolts. In later years, it was used for small machine parts production. This is building number 92, the Product Design and Engineering Building. Located at the corner of Sample and Franklin Streets, it is a 2-story reinforced concrete structure containing 183,000 square feet of floor space. Built in 1928, it housed the engine and chassis dynamometer rooms, engine assembly lab, and stock room on the first floor. while the second floor held the engineering offices, chassis and body drafting departments, and the prototype body fabrication shop. The center of this building held an enclosed outdoor courtyard where prototype bodies could be viewed in natural light. This is building number 95, built in 1928 of brick and reinforced concrete, and was attached to the northeast corner of the machine shop, building number 72. It's in the 400 block of West Sample Street. This 18,000 square foot building housed the Industrial Relations Department. If you were interested in employment at Studebaker, this is where you would apply. Directly east of this building is the Sample Street entrance to Plant 2. This is the gate that was featured on the National Evening News and in national publications showing employees leaving the plant on the last day of production, December 20th, 1963. Building number 96 is a one-story, 18,000 square foot building built of brick and steel framing in 1928. It is located at 1010 South Prairie Avenue. Its original function was as a drive-away or car shipping center, but was used as a transportation department maintenance garage for most of its life. Originally designed as a two-story building, it was decided after construction was started to omit the second floor. This is Building 108, located at 765 South Lafayette Street, was built in 1942, is a steel frame brick-walled building attached to Building 33. It contains 25,000 square feet on one story and was used as the Avanti final inspection and doll-up area during the final years of Studebaker production. Until October 1987, it housed the offices of the Avanti Motor Corporation. This building, attached to the six-story body building on the north boundary of Plant 1, is Building 113. Located on Lafayette Street, just south of the New York Central tracks, it is a two-story reinforced concrete and brick building with 170,000 square feet of floor space. The first floor held the paint lab, while the second floor was used for body parts sub-assembly. Attached to this building is a 53,000 square foot receiving dock. These structures were built in 1946. This concludes our tour of the buildings that remain in the former Studebaker manufacturing complex. Several years ago, Building 74, the powerhouse, was torn down. This 62,000 square foot building was on the north side of Sample Street, just west of Building 53 and 58. This is the entrance to Erskine Manor in the 3600 block of Miami Street in South Bend. This palatial estate, sitting on a large wooded tract on the south side of town, was built by Albert Russell Erskine. It was built while he was president of the Studebaker Corporation. During the next portion of this film, we will view several homes in the South Bend area that were either built by or were at one time occupied by former Studebaker executives or Studebaker family members. We will also see the J.M. Studebaker building in downtown South Bend and the monument that stands at the site of the original wagon factory. This drive leads into the Erskine residence. The Erskine family lived in the portion to the building at the left Behind the circular drive in the center is a covered passageway connecting the main house with the garage and the servants' quarters, which are to the right. Albert Russell Erskine was born in Huntsville, Alabama in 1871. After several years with Yale and Town Manufacturing and the Underwood Typewriter Company, he joined Studebaker's accounting department in 1911. In 1915, when J.M.'s son-in-law, Frederick Fish, moved up to become chairman of the board, Erskine became the first non-family member to serve the corporation as president. He was only 44 years old at the time. Under his leadership, the corporation enjoyed its greatest period of expansion. Most of the buildings that we have just seen were built while Erskine was at the helm. Several employees that I have talked to have stated that Erskine was a very formal and cold type person. He demanded a high degree of formal respect from everyone that he worked with. He was Mr. Erskine to everyone. His home is very reflective of this type of personality. Both Studebaker Corporation and Erskine's personal fortunes waned as the Depression of the 30s deepened. He staked his fortune, as well as that of the corporations, on the belief that prosperity would return shortly. The corporation filed for bankruptcy in 1932, and on July the 1st, 1933, A.R. Erskine took his own life in this house. The family eventually sold the estate to an order of the Catholic Church that used the building and the grounds as St. Mary's Academy for Girls. During the late 1970s, much of the land, including this home, were sold to private developers. This house is once again used as a private residence. Many exclusive homes and condominiums now share these grounds. This house, also on South Bend's southeast side, stands on a large tract of land at Miami and Donmoyer Streets. This English Tudor-style home was for many years the residence of the Paul G. Hoffman family. Paul Hoffman, Studebaker's successful West Coast distributor, joined the corporation in 1925 as sales manager. He served in this capacity until 1933, when he was appointed president by the receivers. He continued to serve as president until 1949, when he left to join the Truman administration as head of the Marshall Plan to rebuild Europe. He returned to the board of directors for a short time during the 1950s, but was not successful in helping them turn things around. This home is also very reflective of his personality. It appears warm and friendly and tends to put visitors at ease. Today, it serves as the home of the Stanley Clark School, a private prep school. This building is not the home of a former Studebaker president, but is in fact the Erskine Park Golf Course. Located at 4200 Miami Street, its clubhouse, groundskeepers buildings, and 18-hole golf course were a gift to the city of South Bend from Mr. and Mrs. Albert Russell Erskine. Given in 1922, It continues to serve as a municipal golf course today. This is the original field stone entrance gate, which still carry the initials EP for Erskine Park, as well as the original dedication plaque. This house, located at 1237 East Jefferson Boulevard, was built in 1920 on the site of the original Jacob Studebaker home. It was first owned by Cyrus C. Schaefer. Its second owner was Harold Vance. Vance was appointed chairman of the board of Studebaker in 1933 by the receivers and held that post until 1954. He also held the post of president from 1949 to 1954. In the same area of South Bend's east side, at 107 South Green Lawn, is the home of Clement Studebaker, Jr. This home was built in 1909. In the 1920s, the estate was purchased by Vincent Bendix, founder of the Bendix Corporation, which was also headquartered in South Bend. Today, it serves as the home of Trinity School. On South Bend's west side, you find the homes of two of the original Studebaker brothers. This house, at 627 West Washington, was the home of Peter Studebaker. Peter, the second youngest brother, built this house in 1863, with a major addition added in 1895. It is almost directly across the street from the estate of his brother Clement. Peter, J.M., and Clement each owned 1/3 shares of Studebaker Brothers Manufacturing Company, founded in 1868. As company secretary, Peter drew an annual salary of $2,000. Henry, the oldest brother, had already withdrawn from the company and retired to a farm on South Bend's south side. The youngest brother, Jacob, 24 in 1868, was not a general partner of the original company. Last in our tour of homes is the magnificent mansion of Clement Studebaker. Standing at 620 West Washington Street, this home was built by the second oldest Studebaker brother. Born in 1831, Clement and his older brother Henry founded the firm of H&C Studebaker in 1852. In 1868, he purchased a large home that stood on a portion of the land now occupied by this mansion. Known as Tippecanoe Place, this house was completed in February of 1889. The architect was Henry Cobb, described as one of the best-known, most successful architects in the Chicago area in the 1880s. Tippecanoe Place rises majestically only a few blocks from downtown South Bend. The site is 395 feet by 296 feet, in addition to a plot of 274 feet by 90 feet, which originally was occupied by the carriage house and greenhouse.